Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Bell Ringers podcast. Colin Daly alongside Ben Goldstein. And wow, Ben and I were just talking about this. The Phillies are on track for 117 wins. That would set an MLB record. And while what their play has been over the last few weeks may not be sustainable, it surely has been fun to watch, right, Ben?
It's been incredible. This has been the best baseball that I've ever seen the Phillies play, period. I mean, we've seen playoff runs, but there's never been anything like this. And, I mean, they are 37-14. That's the best start, and that's the best start to 51 games in Philadelphia Phillies history.
Yeah, I mean,
it's absurd. They lead the league in runs scored. They lead the league in starters ERA. They lead the Braves by, I think, 6.5 games now. They're on pace for 117 wins. This is ridiculous. This is insane what's happening right now.
It is. And I'm all for gritty wins. I think, teams like, the Marlins last year would be what I could consider a gritty team. I would say the Guardians, maybe even they had some young guys who could really hit for contact and hit for high average. But like I said, as much as I love those teams, that's not what the Phillies are. They are dominating their opponents. These are not 1-2 run victories. These are, 8-3, 11-3, and they keep adding on runs. Their bullpen has been electric. There's no weakness in this Phillies team right now, and they are about as close to an unstoppable force as you'll find out there. It's been it's been magical, really.
You say that they've just been stopping over teams. I want to pull up this tweet from Jeff Passan that he tweeted out last night, or Thursday night, I guess, when the Phillies completed their sweep over the reigning world champion Texas Rangers, and the Phillies just finished a sweep of the defending World Series champion Texas Rangers. Philadelphia's won 29 of its last 35 games and is 37-14 on the season. It doesn't really matter what your opponent's records are if you're emasculating them every single day. And that's what the Phillies are doing, which I think is most impressive, is they're not playing good teams. But they're the teams that they're playing, you can only play who's in front of you. And it's not even a competition, a lot of these games. And over the last 35, the Phillies have only lost not a lot of them. And you look at the last 100, over the last 100 seasons, teams that have won over 100 games and with the best records of the last 100 years, the Phillies right now, I think I heard, was like 4th or 5th, the best winning percentage against teams below 500 through 51 games or whatever. So a lot of great teams are not playing as well against the bad teams as the Phillies are right now, which shows you a lot of what this team really is and how good they are against everybody.
Absolutely. And I mean, things like, again, we're not just making these things up. The Phillies also lead the league in what I think is one of the most important numbers to look at is run differential. Their run differential right now is plus 93, which for those of you guys who are not stat nerds, and this isn't really, an overly deep stat, but it's just the number of runs you've scored minus the number of runs you've allowed. So for context here, the Phillies have a plus 93 differential. The Atlanta Braves have a plus 49 differential. And the closest to the Phillies number is the 35-17 New York Yankees. And then just for some added context for fun, the 15-win White Sox have a negative 109 run differential. So,
oh my goodness.
So the Phillies are doing everything you could ask of them right now and more. I mean, they've won 9 of their last 10, 6 in a row. Their pitching staff has only allowed 184 runs. They're beating the teams they should be able to beat both on the road and at home. They have a 22-8 record at Citizens Bank Park. They're 15-6 elsewhere on the season. And they'll be in Colorado tonight, which should be great for their offense. And for a pitching staff, has done a pretty good job of keeping the ball on the ground this year. Hopefully that high altitude and the pressure won't give them any problems. But, in mean, the Rockies are also a struggling team, and we'll get to more on the Phillies' upcoming opponents, at the end of the podcast, like we usually do. The Rockies are 16-33. That's only a .327 winning percentage. They're already 9 games back of first place in the NL West, and it's May, Ben. It's May.
It's
so
almost
their season is over. It is almost June, but 9 games back, and it's only May. So
if you flip the Rockies' schedule record, the Phillies still have a better record than them.
Yeah. In fact, I don't think any team in baseball has 37 losses.
The Phillies have more wins than anyone else has anything else. That's pretty insane.
Closest to them is the White Sox. They are 36-15.
Well, the White Sox
15
and 36.
15 and 30. That would be something.
15 and 36. The White Sox may not win 50 games.
Drastic difference.
Something else I want to touch on with the starting rotation, which I think has been the most impressive thing, because we knew what this offense would be. The bullpen's also been kind of a shock, but we knew it was going to be one of the top of baseball. This rotation is the best in baseball, period. There's no way of getting around it. The Phillies have had 18 starts of 7+ innings in 2024.
I love this stat.
That's more than 11 teams had in all of 2023. That's insane.
So I don't know if you saw this one.
I can pull it up on hold on. I know Baseball Reference put it out this morning.
Someone else put one out a couple days
ago. The Phillies, oh no, it's the same thing.
I can't remember the exact number, but right now the Phillies have more the Phillies starting pitchers have gone 7 innings in more games than the rest of the NL East combined. Braves, Mets, Nationals, and what's the Marlins. Those 4 combined have less than the Phillies in terms of starting pitchers having gone 7 or more innings. And we're seeing it all the time now. Zach Wheeler did it again in the Phillies' victory yesterday. It was close, but he managed to get his 21 outs there. But no, and I'll tell you, you guys who have followed for a while know that I love to find something to complain about, but it's really, really hard to do that right now. Really hard to do that. Maybe we can start complaining about the price of ballpark food, because that is outrageous. I haven't.
Oh, the price of tickets right now are bad.
Really? Well, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, they're good. Yeah, it's the negatives of being good. But I mean, everything is good, and I want to look at the offense. JT Realmuto with 13-game hitting streak, most in his career. Alec Boehm is driving in every run possible. Bryce Harper is starting to heat up. Nick Castellanos looked a little better yesterday. I mean, this Phillies offense is unbelievable, and they have 2 guys in the lineup pretty much every night that aren't producing, in Rojas and Castellanos. Although Nick Castellanos we might be seeing a little bit more from him, and they haven't reached June Schwarber yet, and Trey Turner's out of the lineup. And they still lead the league in runs scored and run differential and runs per game. Like,
that is insane.
It's unbelievable what's happening right now. And the thing I think I'm most impressed with is a starter will get in the hole early. I think we've seen this in every Rangers game. The Phillies were down first. They would score one run, 2 runs in the first 2 innings. And what would happen right after that? The Phillies came right back. They always respond quickly and timely. Like, it's literally the blink of an eye. The game's 2-0. Blink of an eye, it's 2-2. Like, they just answer back so quickly. And that's not something we always see from the Phillies in their history. They've never really done something like this. This is the best record they've had through 51 games ever. They are on their best 35-game run since 1892. 1892. It's unspeakable what's happening. This is video game stuff that's happening right now.
Women couldn't even vote back then.
1892. Ethan Whitney put this on the site. In 1892, the states Utah, Oklahoma, New Mexico, Arizona, Alaska, and Hawaii were not a part of the United States. The Pledge of Allegiance was recited for the first time in the year 1892. Ellis Island opened in 1892,
Oh my
and the
goodness.
Coca-Cola Company was founded in Atlanta, Georgia in 1892, selling Coke. Not like cocaine, not Coca-Cola yet, but
Sure wasn't both?
it might have been both. But it's insane. It's insane.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you mentioned a couple guys. JT Realmuto has been. I still don't understand how he's hitting 285 because I feel like every time I watch this man up to come up to the plate, he hits the ball really hard. I mean, his hard hit percentage is 52. 51.6 this season, which is, at the very top of the league. He's 93rd percentile. He's getting barrels. His bat's moving quickly across the zone. He's hitting the ball hard. He's hitting the ball for power. He's got 7 home runs and 178 at bats. He only had 20 home runs and 500. I shouldn't say only, but he had 20 home runs and 540 at bats last season. He's getting on base a lot more. 331 on base percentage at 461 slugging. And we really haven't seen JT Realmuto this good since the beginning of 2022. And that's been really, really good to see. I still don't think Bryce Harper has hit his peak yet. Alec Boehm is arguably the best third baseman in baseball right now. Things just seem to be going so well for the Phillies. They're firing on all cylinders. And again, I'd love to complain about this team, but it's really, really hard to do that right now. The bats are working. The arms are working. I got nothing, Ben.
Here's some team batting stats for you. I had to zoom out a little bit so I could get it all on my screen. Their team batting average is 260. On base percentage is 338, and their
That's ridiculous.
Slugging is 420. The team OPS is 420. Their slugging is 330. Hold on.
No, OPS better not be 420. That'd be less.
The team batting average is 260.
Right.
Team on base percentage 338. Team slugging 420. Team OPS is 758.
That's an absurd number.
OPS plus is 117.
Wow.
They have how many homers do they have this year? They already have. That can't be right. There's no way that's right. Hold on. They have 60 homers this year. It's a lot of homers. And they've scored 277 runs. That leads baseball.
I think it's by a pretty wide margin too, isn't it?
It's there. There's a pretty good margin there.
What would you say is the biggest thing the Phillies have going for them right now? Why are they winning all these games? If you had to pick one part of the team, I think the answer is obvious.
What's your answer?
Starting pitching.
Well, that's certainly part of it. I mean, the Phillies. I've never seen a starting rotation. Like, I want to throw this out there for you. Better rotation. 2024, 2011 Phillies. Let me compare them. 11, Roy Halladay, Cliff Lee, Cole Hamels, Roy Oswalt, Joe Blanton. GOAT, by the way. This rotation right now, Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, Ranger Suarez, who's been debatably the best pitcher in baseball, and he's the 3-starter. Christopher Sanchez, Taijuan Walker. Turnbull gets thrown in there as well. Who is better? It's hard to compare right now. We're only 51 games through, but what's the better rotation?
That is tough. I would say that the Phillies' current rotation actually is better. I think they're more well-rounded. I think that, if I had to pick one guy, 2011 Joe Blanton on the mound or 2024 Taijuan Walker, I'm probably going to go with 2024 Taijuan Walker.
But could Taijuan Walker hit a homer in the World Series?
Joe Blanton practically had a 5 ERA that season. I don't want to have to trot Joe Blanton out there in a playoff game. Taijuan Walker has been an all-star a couple times. So,
not for the Phillies, though. Especially not this year.
No, he has not. No. We have not seen that yet. But no, this starting pitching is, and I've said it for years, starting pitching is what wins World Series. There's a common denominator of all of the World Series winners you've seen over the last couple of years. That's having great starting pitching. What did the Rangers do at the deadline last year? They added starting pitching. Wasn't a coincidence. You know what the Phillies didn't do? Add a real starting pitcher. They added a reliever in Michael Lorenzen. That's really where he had most of the success in his career as a reliever. They didn't add a true starting pitcher like Montgomery. So, to me, if the Phillies win the World Series in 2024, it's because of their starting pitching. It's been unbeatable. I mean, Zach Wheeler, Ranger Suarez, Aaron Nola seems to be having. We talk about the every other year, and the thing is, Aaron Nola is flying under the radar. If this were last year, all we'd be talking about is how much money Aaron Nola is going to make. Because all we talked about last year is Aaron Nola, contract extension, sign him, extend him, free agency. We're going to lose him. If this upcoming season had been his contract year, all you would hear about right now is how much money Aaron Nola is going to make. But because of Zach Wheeler and Ranger Suarez and Spencer Turnbull, Aaron Nola has had a really solid season, and not a single soul has really talked about it.
Well, he's been overshadowed by Ranger and Wheeler. But,
right.
I mean, the Phillies
it's unreal.
Phillies rotation ERA is 3.16. This is the starting rotations ERA. That's really good.
I wonder what it is if you take out Taijuan Walker.
See, I don't have the capability of doing that. I don't think. That might be that might be their staff ERA. But that's
right.
Really
regardless,
good.
that's absurd, really. And the same thing with Christopher Sanchez. Sanchez has had a good season too. I mean, he's your fifth starting pitcher, and he's got an ERA of like 3.5, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unreal. I have no other way of putting it. What this team has been able to do, the way they've been able to, and I have to give some of the credit to JT Realmuto and Garrett Stubbs because they've done a really good job handling these pitchers. Because I've noticed a difference in the way they've approached hitters, specifically this season. The Wheeler one is obvious because he introduced that new splitter. But Ranger Suarez, utilizing his pitches in what I'd say are more strategic ways, has been huge for the staff. Huge for the staff. Aaron Nola, figuring out some mechanical things that were mentioned at the end of last season as ways he could improve. He seems to have honed in on those, and I don't know what else you can ask. I really don't.
So we've mentioned the 1892 Phils a bit, which I don't think I'd ever be talking about. I mean, it's crazy from a reporting standpoint. As a history guy myself, the names and years being thrown at us. Ranger Suarez is having the best start to a season since Grover Cleveland Alexander, who didn't exist. And this is the best Phillies 35-game stretch since 1892. 1892. I have the 1892 Phillies baseball reference up on my screen. They finished that season 87, 66, and 2. And 2, Colin. You could tie in baseball in 1892. They finished 4th in the National League. They were 87 and 66 and 2, and they finished 4th in the NL. Well, I guess there wasn't that many games then, so I guess that's pretty good. Let me tell you these. Let me tell you these top 12 players on this squad. I think this is by their WAR. So we'll go 12-1. Number 12, Duke Esper had a 2 WAR. Bill Hallman, a 2.4 WAR. Bob Allen, a 3.1 WAR. Jack Clement, a 3.2 WAR. Lave Cross, a 3.3 WAR. Kid Carsey, a 4 WAR. Ed Delahanty, a 4.4 WAR. Sam Thompson, a 4.7 WAR. Tim Keefe, a 5.1 WAR. Billy Hamilton, a 6.1 WAR. Roger Connor, a 6.3 WAR. And Gus Weighing, a 7.4 WAR. There's a few Hall of Famers on here. Who was the guy that fell into Niagara Falls?
I haven't heard about this.
MLB player falling into Niagara. I remember this story. It was Ed Delahanty. After the train had disappeared across the bridge, Delahanty started to walk across, which is against the rules. The night watchman attempted to stop him, but Delahanty pushed the man to one side. The jaw of the bridge had been opened for a boat, and the player plunged into the dark waters of the Niagara.
Oh my goodness!
This was in let's see here. This was in the year 1903.
Huh. That is.
But yeah, so I mean, that's fun baseball history. But anyway, beside the point, would you ever thought you would hear the year 1892?
No, never. No shot.
I mean, look at it. These guys have incredible mustaches, though.
I don't doubt
there's
that.
There's a few guys on here with some incredible mustaches. I saw you Googling something.
Well, yeah, I was. A little more context for the historical period we're talking here. The time at which the 1892 Phillies, all those weirdos you just mentioned were in existence, that was 3 presidents before Teddy Roosevelt.
Wow.
Before Teddy Roosevelt.
Who was the president?
Had an awesome mustache. It was, I think it was Benjamin Harrison.
It was Benjamin Harrison.
23, yeah.
Yeah, the 23rd president. But yeah, 1892, you hear all these crazy things, and the gist I'm getting with this team is they're not letting it get to them. And Rob Thompson in his post-game press conference the other night was asked, you're on pace for 117 wins. You have the best 50-game start since the 2001 Mariners. He then asks, what did they do? Reporter says 116 games. Topper then re-asked the question, well, what did they do in the postseason? They did not win the World Series. This team is so focused on winning the World Series. And you look at a lot of these teams that have gone on this crazy streak and won over 100 games. Not all of them have won the World Series. Look at the last 2 years with the Dodgers and Braves. They've lost in the first round both years. And you've seen how many times the Dodgers have done it since 2015. This team is so focused on the prize. The eye is on the prize with this team. And that starts with the coolest, chillest guy in that clubhouse, Rob Thompson. He feeds his energy into the rest of the clubhouse and all the guys, and they all feed off of it. And these guys are they're not looking at the numbers, or they're looking at them, not looking at the years and the records that they're breaking. They're looking at that commissioner's trophy that they may get to in November, and they were so close to getting these last 2 years. They're hurt and stung from the NLCS Game 7 last year, and they're using that fuel and energy and that anger to what you're seeing right now. And it starts with the manager.
Did you see Topper's his shades yesterday?
Yeah, he's got some nice shades.
Oh, he does. Those things I need to get myself a pair of those. Actually, I don't know. I'm not really into the whole ski goggle sunglasses, but they match the powder blue very nicely. Very nicely. Now, Ben, we're going to jump into some all-star predictions here. We'll start looking at some individual players. Before we get there, I have a little game for you. For us, for you, I don't know. We'll see. We did something similar before, but I'm making it official because I got a new book. You're the umpire.
Oh, wow. I haven't umpired. No longer the umpire. I'm not umpiring anymore. No, I stopped last year. I had enough, but I still know the rules.
You sure about that?
I feel sure enough. I know enough about Little League Baseball that I can umpire it.
Well, I have 2 questions involving Phillies scenarios. We're going to
Okay.
see if you really do know your stuff. I won't lie, these are tough. And I haven't looked at the answers yet, so we can answer them together.
Yeah.
Here's the first one. In a Cubs versus Phillies game of September 11th, 1969, pitcher Dick Selma tried a trick pickoff play with his third baseman, Ron Santo. With Phillies on first and second and a payoff pitch due with 2 men out, Selma, knowing the runners would be off of the pitch, stepped off the rubber and threw to third. However, Santo, the third baseman, had forgotten the signal and the ball shot by him into left field, ultimately costing the Cubs the game. Now, should this pickoff move have been called a balk, allowing runners to advance just 1 base?
See, with balks, I need a visual. Was there a pitch clock violation on the play?
Let me restart. In a Cubs versus Phillies game of September 11th, 1969. No, there's no pitch clock violation. It says Selma, I think the key word in here is stepped off the rubber and threw to third. If you step off the rubber, then you're a position player, right? You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, so that should not, I don't think it should be a play. Because if you're throwing from, if you step off, and he did, and it clearly writes in the text that he did step off. So I would call that, Phillies win. With these balks, though, it's easier with the visual, obviously, because you need to see it. I would say that was clean. I would say no balk because he stepped off. Do you have an answer?
I do. Sal, with a very Italian last name that I'm not going to try to pronounce, a veteran pro umpire, said once the pitcher disengages from the rubber properly, he becomes an infielder and he can do pretty much whatever he wants, so that's legal. Now, there's also a rule that says you cannot throw to an unoccupied base, but that is from the rubber, so that means that this is allowed.
Well, who in their right mind is throwing to an unoccupied base while on the rubber?
Well, that's what Selma did. Because he tried.
He wasn't on the rubber. He stepped off.
Oh, right. Yeah. He did. So yeah, that's allowed. All right.
Also, this dude's an idiot.
I do. He essentially. All right. Oh no, which
Tough
one
way to lose.
Oh, this one. Here we go.
1960.
I'm just taking my sticky notes out of here. I don't want to leave them in my book. All right, ready?
I'm ready.
This is 2 of 2. Paul O'Neill was playing right field one day in 1989 for the Cincinnati Reds. The game was on the line in the 10th inning, and the Philadelphia Phillies had Steve Jeltz representing the potential winning run in scoring position. A ball was hit through the infield and into right, where O'Neill, feeling rushed to get off a strong throw, the plate to snuff out the would-be game-ending run, bobbled it, juggled it, and then, out of frustration, kicked the ball. Amazingly, the ball shot directly to Todd Benzinger, his cutoff man at first base. The befuddled base runner had to hold up at third. It's your call. Does the play stand, or is there a penalty for O'Neill's actions here?
I don't think there's a rule for kicking the ball.
Well, we're going to find out, aren't we?
If there is, I've never seen anyone kick the ball. But if it's a live ball, I think.
There's no rule which prevents a fielder from kicking the ball. After all, normally what advantage would there be in doing that? The odds of a play like O'Neill's happening ever again are beyond astronomical. You're 2 for 2, Ben.
There we go. I'm better than Angel.
That's the whole reason I decided to do this today, because I saw. Did you see that article? It was written by one of the national guys on does Angel Hernandez really deserve all the slander he gets?
I mean, he's a good marketing tool for baseball. Gets people talking about him.
That's the only reason.
He still has a job. Yeah.
All right. So should we get into a conversation about a game in which we're going to have 6 umpires? Maybe you'll be one of them. Because that's coming up sooner than later, huh?
It's crazy. Now? It's almost June already.
Right.
We'll be voting soon. Speaking of voting, WIP, I want to bring this up because I think it's interesting. WIP just came out with their top 11 current athletes in Philadelphia.
Harper better be one.
So it was 50% fan vote, 50% WIP staff. A lot of the hosts did their own thing. No one really got it right, but here we go. Top 11 athletes in Philadelphia per WIP voters and staff. 11 was Trey Turner.
Okay.
10, Aaron Nola.
Wow.
9, Devontae Smith. 8, Ranger Suarez.
Agreed.
7, Lane Johnson. 6, Tyrese Maxey. 5, Zach Wheeler. 4, Jalen Hurts. 3, AJ Brown. 2, Joel Embiid. And number 1, Bryce Harper.
So I assume Kelsey and Cox don't count, right?
Well, Kelsey and Cox are not athletes anymore. They're retired, so.
True.
But I think Trey Turner should be higher, and I think JT Relamuto should be on this list. Does that kind of kick Nola off of this list?
Nola should not be. I think Nola should be in a better spot on this list. He's the longest tenured Philly.
But is he the best athlete in the city right now?
Wait, was the best athlete in the city or
top 11 athletes in Philadelphia right now?
I'm sorry. Okay.
It was.
Oh yeah, Relamuto should definitely. I thought it was like most popularity type of thing. Okay.
No. Just top 11 athletes.
Okay. Absolutely.
Where's any Philadelphia Wings players on here or anything?
What sport are they?
Box lacrosse.
But what's box like? What's the opposite of box lacrosse?
Box lacrosse is like in a hockey rink. They play at the Wells Fargo Center.
Oh, that's dumb.
It's crazy. It's a crazy sport.
Is it like it's such a smaller field? Right?
Yeah. Everything is legal. Everything's legal. It's like murder out there. It's like guys are getting shoved, slammed to the ground, and it's legal. It's crazy.
I'm gonna have to find myself some of that.
The season just ended. Buffalo just won the championship. The Wings are horrible.
Really?
Worst record in the league this year.
So we're pacifists in Philadelphia, is what you're telling me. That would be really ironic. Very ironic, actually.
All right. Phillies have the chance to have a lot of all-stars this year. And when I say a lot, I mean a lot. They are the best team in baseball. I mean, who do you got? Like, it's like you can pick whoever on this roster right now. There's so many people you could pick.
It's absurd. And I'm not going to take too much time on this because I know all these stats are accessible, but I want to run through a couple stats here that are just outrageous to me. In the National League, we'll start with third baseman because Alec Boehm leads all National League third basemen in OPS, slugging percentage, batting average, RBIs, and he's fifth in home runs. He's first in doubles by far, and he's first in hits. He's third in runs scored. This one's going to surprise you, Ben. We're going to move over to – we'll go to second base. Bryson Stott, who coming into this was – I almost didn't check second base. He's second in runs. He's fifth in average. He's first in on-base percentage. He's third in slugging. And he's second in OPS.
Bryson Stott has been on a pretty electric hot streak at the moment. He's been great. It's been a pleasure to watch him. It seems like he's been hitting everything coming his way. And the daycare is the future. Marsh has the most defensive run saves in baseball. Alec Boehm leads the league in RBIs and doubles. Bryson Stott's electric.
Yeah. And I mean, I didn't think he had a chance, but if he has a hot streak, it keeps going, gets himself, some more extra base hits, I think he's going to be a backup. I mean, your other options there are like Nico Horner, Bryce Terang. They're having decent seasons, but I think Stott has a legitimate shot this year. I mean, at first base, it'll be Bryce Harper. He's second in runs scored. He's third in hits. He is fifth in home runs. In batting average, he's third. In OPS, he is first. In slugging percentage, he is first. In on base percentage, he is third.
And
so,
you're naming all these things with Harper. He is just getting like warm. Like he had not a normal price beginning of the season. Like he's
right. These
just
numbers
starting
are going
to
up
like
right now.
yeah, like he is just making like the contact he's been making with the ball recently. Like the other night, he had a crazy double in right center field, and the next at bat, it was kind of the same hit, just more elevated and into the bushes in center field.
Yeah.
Like it's
And
similar launch angle, similar exit velocity, just a little more height on it. It's like he's good.
And another crazy one to me, and I don't know how much of an influence this will have. There are only 4 catchers in the National League that are qualified statistics-wise right now. So if you're looking, purely based on how large of a sample size you have, JT Realmuto, if there's a couple declines, has a pretty good chance of getting into the game. I think they usually take 3 catchers, not 2, right?
I think so.
So get it. There's a shot there. Again, he's gonna need a little bit of a hot streak. Right now he is 4th in slugging. He is 4th in on base percentage plus slugging. He's 3rd in hits, and he is 2nd in runs scored.
And he's doing most of this in the 2 spot, which we all know is Trey Turner's spot, but he is filled in that 2 spot for Trey Turner like a glove. And so is Edmundo Sosa in this lineup. He's been a great defense. He's been great at short defensively. Made a great play on his back to the ball the other night with his glove out. Made a nice catch on a tough fly. And the offense has been a plus. He's hitting almost 400 in this lineup over the last few games. The Phillies are, I think, 12-3 without Trey Turner. And Turner was on 15-3, 12, something around there. I know they have 3 losses. And Turner was on an MVP level when he went out. Let's see if I can pull it. Yeah, he was hitting 343, 392, 460 with an 852 OPS before his injury. Like he was at an MVP level. And they've been just as good with him out of it. And these guys have filled in great. Cody Clemens had a little bit of a hot streak. He filled in nicely. Bryson Stott has been great. Whit Merrifield hasn't been much. But, I mean, Edmundo's has been awesome. The defense, the offense. This team is just like, I don't think I've seen a team like everyone thought around this team that no Trey for maybe 6 weeks, this team's going to have to decline. They have gotten stronger. It's crazy.
Yeah, so then you have, from the pitching side of things, absolutely absurd numbers, right? Ranger Suarez is 2nd in the National League in ERA. I believe
behind a dude that throws no innings, so.
Right. He has almost 13 more innings than Shota Umanga. He's 3rd in innings pitched. In terms of whip, Ranger Suarez is first by a large margin. He has a .79 whip. The closest is Chris Sale, who has a .86 whip. And then, of course, there's Zach Wheeler, who's had a great season as well. 67 2/3 innings. He's only allowed 19 earned runs. He has got an ERA of 2.53, 6 wins on the season. So I'm going to say we're going to have 5 Phillies All-Stars this year.
See, I think it's going to be a little more. Because I think some guys in the bullpen get in.
I think here's what I have right now. I have Harper,
I don't have it written
Hoffman,
down.
Suarez, and Wheeler.
So wait, who do you have?
Harper, Bohm, Hoffman, Suarez, and Wheeler.
I have Ranger, Bohm, Bryce, JT, Wheeler. There's 5. Hoffman, Bryson Stott, and maybe Brandon Marsh. So
Not
I'm going
Marsh.
7 or 8. will be
Marsh's
in the
numbers have
All-Star.
dropped a ton.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't
And
think Marsh has no chance, unfortunately.
you can think about and who knows what could happen. There's still a month until like this all
Yeah,
happens. You can think
Schwarber
about
always
Kyle
has a chance.
Schwarber. Schwarber, I mean, it's not June yet, and he has been walking so many. He has 10 walks over the last 4 games, 12 walks over the last 5.
Do
Only
you know
2
Bryson
Phillies.
Stott has more walks and strikeouts?
Yeah, that dude's incredible. There's only 2 Phillies since 1901 that have 12 walks over 5 games. Schwarber in 23 had it. Or wait, this doesn't make any sense. He has 10 walks over over 4 games. He did it last year and this year, Schwarber. Last year was something else.
That is ridiculous. So yeah, so I think you have a list of 7 All-Stars there. What another thing that's a shame is I do not think Matt Strahm will get an All-Star appearance this year.
And Matt Strahm has been the best arm in the bullpen so far for the Phillies.
But he's not flashy. That's the
No,
sad part.
he's
Hoffman's
not
flashy. He's got a dirty slider and a high velocity fastball. Strahm doesn't have that. He locates his pitches well and he changes speeds. There is no value to that anymore, unfortunately. I shouldn't say there's no value for that in the All-Star game anymore. Which there should be, but there's not.
Strahm's ERA is .87. His WHIP, .726. He has been debatably one of the best arms in all of baseball.
Yeah, 100%.
It's been fun to start, but can they continue this? The Phillies can't get cocky. They can't get over themselves, which with this manager, I don't think they will.
No, I don't think so either.
All right, so let's move forward here. Colin, I think your AirPods just disconnected. Let's look forward to the next.
Hold on, I've got
I think the next week, right? Next week. When are
we
we
potting
again?
So
we do have a schedule now. It's like a miracle. I don't like how this is set up. Month view. Here we go. Our next pod is next Thursday.
Next Thursday.
So let's look at the schedule until next Thursday. I think they're on the road.
Well, Colorado. I'm sorry, they're not going to win 9 straight games. They're going to have to lose 1 to Colorado, and everyone's going to complain about it. But here we are. So I'll start, I guess. They'll take 2 or 3 from Colorado, and then after that, who do they have?
They're at San Francisco for 3.
Okay. I think the weird starting times might throw them off, so they'll lose a game there. So I'm going to give them a 4-2. I mean, pretty easy opponents. Neither team's been doing a ton this year. The Giants are definitely more of a threat than the Rockies. The Rockies are god-awful. But I think the weekday, late start, early start could throw them off a bit. So I'm going to go with a smooth 4-2.
Yeah, I'm going 5-1.
Okay.
I just the thing with this Phillies team right now is when they go out there, I just don't think they're going to lose.
No, and I get that.
They think that too, which I think is the most impressive part is they're so dialed in and so optimistic. I've never been this optimistic about a team in my entire life. And you know that.
Yeah, I'm probably in the same boat.
Like this team, I just don't think they're going to lose again. I think they sweep Colorado, and then I think they lose either Memorial Day or that last San Francisco game. Getaway game.
They can't lose on Memorial Day.
Getaway game feels bad, and then Memorial Day they seem to always play bad in San Francisco, so I don't think they, But
do you remember that one San Francisco series either last summer or the summer before, and they just got murdered?
That was 2 years
every single game. No, yeah, you're right.
Because Reese had like a good stretch during that series, I think.
And there was Gibson. I can't think about that.
And I had you on that.
I stayed up to cover that series. It was I'll tell you though, I got so much done because they were losing by like 9 and by the first 3 innings, and I was like, I've got 6 innings to go. I already know how I'm going to write this story because they're not going to win. I updated the schedule for like a month and a half. I worked on our Asana. I was locked in, man. That was a productive evening when I realized that the article did not need attending to after the 3rd inning. It's great.
Yeah, that was a bad stretch. But like you look at this last homestand, you had them losing, I think, 2 or 3 games in that stretch.
Two.
They went 7-1.
Wow, yeah.
They it's like in that one game was 1 loss to the Mets in a 4-game series. It's very hard to beat a team 4 games in a row. Like 7-1. I know they're not. The Mets are meh. The Nationals are kind of meh. And the Rangers are not. The Rangers are a solid team. They played horrible defense. Played absolutely terrible.
Oh gosh,
defense.
that was 4 errors in the one game. That was
4 errors in the one. That was bad. But they just demolished all these teams at home. At home, what a homestand! They won 10-5 against New York. They lost the next one. They then kind of. I mean, the scores don't really say it, but they kind of dominated Washington 4-2, 4-3, 11-5. The one was a walk-off, but was kind of fluky because the end of the game, whatever. And then they absolutely dominated the Texas Rangers 5-2, 11-4, 5-2. And then I see them do the Rockies are horrible. The Giants are meh, but in San Francisco, anything could happen. And then they're home again. Like the schedule obviously isn't the hardest.
no,
but they're going into these teams playing not great teams, but they're killing them. It's
right.
like
They're
no
building
contest.
up clearance, right? They're building up clearance when they do have to play, the Dodgers and the Braves and the Brewers and the teams that do have good records and are going to be pretty competitive. That if they lose a couple there, they still have room in the NL East, definitely to stay above 500, and that's what good teams do, right? They devour these teams that deserve devouring. That's what they've done so far. So, props to them because we haven't always seen that with this team.
No, Phillies, they always seem to play bad. That's kind of it.
Yeah, we rambled today.
Yeah, SeatGeek. Thank you to SeatGeek for sponsoring. Download the SeatGeek app. Use code Report to save $20 off your first purchase. PHILLYSPORTS REPORT. What are you gonna do, Colin?
Hold the S.
Thank you to SeatGeek for sponsoring. If you like what Colin and I have to say, subscribe to the channel and the podcast. Rate us on everything. Follow us on all social media, Philly Sports. If you like what Colin and I do, you can follow both of us on Twitter. And read us at phillysportsports.com. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. We'll see you next week. Go Phils.
Go Phillies.